Action. Welcome to the Captains and Coaches Podcast. We explore the art and science of leadership through the lens of athletics and beyond. I'm your host, Tex McQuilkin, and today we're talking about practice. We're going to begin a whole series specifically on practice and unlocking this. As an athlete, we spend so much more time at practice than we do competing in games. So we need to have an understanding of the value, especially as a team captain, and then a coach writing your practice plans, of getting the nuances out there between the whistles. So talking about practice, not the game you go out and die for, no, practice. Love Ted Lasso, love AI. So excited to explore some nuances of this. So in this series, I wanted to begin leadership. I had the opportunity to speak at Soldiers to Sidelines. Check it out, nonprofit that places soldiers that are returning from home or retiring and helps place them in coaching opportunities. Football, lacrosse, basketball, soccer, strength and conditioning, endurance. Wonderful organization, soldierstosidelines.org. Check it out. They brought me in to speak on lacrosse. I was there with Scott Urich, who's at Georgetown Prep in Washington, D.C., and then Ryan Wellner. He's up at the defensive coordinator for Notre Dame. Be sure to tune in. I'm going to do some podcasts with those guys. Amazing coaches doing amazing things for the sport of lacrosse. What I was set out to do, since they are such specific tacticians for the sport of lacrosse, Scott with offense and Wellner, of course, with defense. Notre Dame's a perennial powerhouse. And so what I did is take practice plan and overview and integrate how I then lead. So I want to hand off leadership. I want to take the true representation of the word empower and hand it off to my guys. So I went through a full practice and specifically where I give opportunities to kids to lead and then shape that leadership. So what I'm going to do with this series on practice is highlight the leadership opportunities. Then we'll get into the nuances and the other stuff at a later date. So specifically with leadership, different blocks, different opportunities, what I can do as a coach, I can show up early. I want to be the first person there, ideally, flipping on the lights. I love to arrive 30 minutes before practice and then just observe what groups walk out together, who runs onto the field, who walks onto the field. If it's late, we're too late. So just seeing what's going on there and then highlight these little nuances of character to the captains that are stepping out or to the younger classmen that I see leadership and potential. I have them create some social awareness and connect the dots to observe of who's walking, who's slacking, who did not bring running shoes, who's walking out in sliders to practice or wearing their cleats to practice or already coming dressed. All these little things I like to highlight there. From there, I get a catch with a kid. So just pick some random kid each time and just have a catch. A lacrosse coach. So play catch with them. You could throw a football. You could do whatever. I could even bring a football to lacrosse practice just to get out of the comfort zone, but it's still the mechanics are similar throws and just test out some athleticism. From there, I'm catching with a kid, and I call out another kid to come over and take my place and start to spread myself around a little bit and mix up the clicks on the team to try to get kids that would not normally throw with each other to then have a catch. Or classmen, seniors, JV, varsity, just cross-pollinating throughout there. How can I build trust is to start to instill it with just a simple, no-stress catch. So that's what I like to do is to mix and match, but I'm taking the lead there. I'm modeling, asking them to have a throw. And then later on, you start to see them ask others to have a catch instead of just fiddling with their sticks or just talking. I need to be moving before practice, starting to get my chili hot before a formal preparation. Here's another thing with the pre-practice. It's on our captains to make sure all the stations are set up. This could be water. This could be specific cones. We got to move goals. This is never easy. So making sure that our captains are in charge of moving the goals to the right place. Now that may start in a season with them moving the goals to specific areas, but then it's a simple leadership technique where I do, we do, you do. And if they take 2 days to accomplish this, if the first day they go out and lead by example, then on day 2, they grab some freshmen to come help them move those goals. Now they exactly know where those goals go, how to do it, and then the seniors can trust them to make sure it's aligned properly to go from there. And coaches are happy because everything is getting set up. We don't waste any minutes within our practice plan setting stuff up because our seniors were slacking or our freshmen were fighting back a little bit. So simple, set up the team. Sometimes within the practice plan, the starting drills change and we need the goals in different places. So then that is on us as coaches to communicate to the seniors what we need before the warm-up. So it's this system of we're defining expectations. We as coaches are modeling. The captains, the seniors, they're modeling. And then we're trying to shape and ensure that the lower classmen are getting the job done. So whether you're coaching lacrosse, you're teaching in the weight room, or swimming or whatever, think about the expectations of the pre-setup before practice that you can start as a coach to delegate downstream. All right. Now we get into the pre-warm-up warm-up. Right about 1 minute before we're meant to start practice, I blow the whistle and send the guys to the end zone. I want them as far away from the coaching staff as possible for the start of practice. I want it to be the captain's time. I want it to be the seniors' time where they're leading. This takes a couple weeks for me to then install and establish an expectation. So in the first couple weeks of practice, I am down there, not in this huddle, but I'm around it listening, and then after that, shaping the captain's words and expectations that I have for them for this moment. I love a circle versus a formal huddle. A circle, giant circle, so we get 40 dudes in a big circle. No one is greater than the other guy. And we have the opportunity to really practice the trajectory and the tonality of our voice. Love that circle. What I am looking for within that circle is the message from the previous practice. So coaches always have within their practice plan, here's the theme, here's the quote, here's the word of the day, here's what we're looking for. Well, I don't want that to fall on deaf ears. I don't want it to go in one ear and out the other. So the expectation is the captains, and we can meet early and try to remember this. If they don't, I have the practice plans from previous days ready. I give them that cue so then they can lead this new huddle, new day, new practice, closing the loop from the previous practice. So yeah, if that word or sense of urgency was the theme from the previous practice, I want them to take the sense of urgency theme into the next day and whatever head coach has to deliver on top of that. So we start to build skill on skill, literally within our sense of lacrosse, but also within our character, the culture, the expectations of the team. It's not just saying one thing, one practice, and then forgetting about it. We need them to hold on to each lesson so that way we really start to build this glossary, this bank, this opportunity for us to call back to stuff because seasons are long. In a game, you're going to be coaching on the fly. Coaches, we've got great memories, so we're going to call back and reference something from game 2 during game 10. They're going to need that skill of remembering this. And then it's the time to dig deep. If I talk about urgency, I talk about grit, I talk about these themes, and then establish a definition for them. Now when I need them come game time, it's not just some random word I threw away and talked about once at practice 2 weeks ago. No, it is who we are. So great opportunity for captains to then lead that circle with the word from before. So usually it takes a couple weeks to install this expectation, but once it's going, now I'm feeding the captains of what to speak. More often than not, when you're going to get from high school kids or seniors that are just stepping into captain role in college, they don't know what to say. They're amazing lead by example people doing everything right. Well, if we tell them what to say, not exactly, hey, say this today, lean into what coaches have said previously. If you don't know what to say, hey, what was coach's theme yesterday? Let's start there. So then, hey, coach's theme was urgency. That's what I want to see going into today, as an example. And then quotes. I love to, towards the middle of the season, encourage guys to start to bring their own quotes to practice. I am a major quote fan. Love quotes, especially everyone that you're going to see on this wall. John Wooden especially here. So favorite by him. Don't mistake activity for achievement. Just because we're recording a podcast doesn't mean we're giving value to our listeners. So I think about that often. All right. So that's an example. They now have autonomy within this huddle. It's not just what the coaches said before. Now they can bring and add their own thin candy shell to this awesome nugget that we're bringing to the team every single day. All right. And here's a challenge with kids as well. Kids, high school, college age students. There's a negativity bias with them. What I want to highlight is strengths, things we did well the previous practice, or things we were doing well as a defense or an offense, things we're doing well as a team, and then opportunities for growth. You may say, fix a strength and a weakness. If you say weakness, they're going to grasp onto that and then just pile up the weaknesses, and then other people start to pile on and call each other out. If one kid gets called out for a mistake, then he's going to start to call out other people, and it just creates this negativity. So really focus on having them emphasize strengths and speak to that, what they did well in the previous practice, what they're going to focus on as an opportunity for growth versus just staying in the past and in negative town. All right. Now for the warm-up. From that circle, they start their warm-up lap. For the beginning of the season, I lead that warm-up. I have a specific progression, athletic development model I want to install. That's me leading it. So how I hand off leadership to them during the first phase of this is counting. So we do a simple military count. Push-ups the best example. We start in an up push-up position. I say, all right, Jeremy, I need 5 4-count push-ups. Ready, and go. So Jeremy then says 1, and 1 means drop your chest towards the ground. 2, when Jeremy says 2, that's push up. 3, drop towards the ground. And then they finish, instead of Jeremy saying 4, the whole team counts rep 1. So we do 5 4-count push-ups. Ready, and go. That's 10 total push-ups. I thought it was 20 for a while. Then one of my players last year called me out that we were only doing 10 push-ups, not 20. Just math wasn't mathing for me. All right. So handing off the counting. And then we're getting everybody to lead by example. I'm shaping guys that are heads going all different directions. They're thinking about school. They're thinking about whatever. And I get them focused. I am now starting to model the behavior that I'm eventually going to need from our captain. So calling people out, keeping everybody in line, and effectively running the warm-up. I'm leading the warm-up. Eventually, I have these cards that I then hand off to the captain to lead. The first phase I have of this is they are counting. So I have an athletic development model phase, 1, 2, 3, warm-ups that progress throughout the season. Phase 1, I'm leading. 2, I'm starting to hand off to the leader to lead everything. Then phase 3, this is where things get fun. He starts to call out other people to lead the counts, just like I did earlier, and he's keeping his eye on behavior. As a leader, you're more often than not going to get the most focused, quality, intensive warm up because you got a team to worry about. So preparing that same expectation that's going to happen during games for him or her during practice is the lead. Then the final phase towards the last 2-3 weeks of season as we get closer to playoffs, they got full autonomy. Whatever movements that they want to do, they're getting creative and getting their chili hot and getting the guys engaged. So different phases of leadership, great opportunity. It's that 10 minutes before the next skill work that I find invaluable for not only developing our body, preparing us for the demands of practice and games, but also instilling some leadership in our captains and throughout the team. Again, freshmen can count on that. Sophomores, JV, doesn't matter what team you're on, you get the opportunity to get called out to count and lead your team through those 10 push-ups, 4 counts. All right. From our warm-up, naturally we transition into drills. This could be a specific skill drill. This could be a scheme that's built into it, two-man within lacrosse. So some fun stuff with there. How I break this down, 4 coaches to lead this in our practices. Within each station or each drill, there's a coach and a conductor. So a conductor is keeping the flow going. They have a whistle and they're blowing the whistle for the next rep to start. There's also a coach where that coach is providing the corrections and the directions for that athlete that just finished to take into his next rep. It happens fast. My biggest pet peeve, and I've hated this when I'm on teams that did not follow this principle, is when a coach is that conductor. The coach has the whistle. He blows his whistle for this rep. Athlete makes a mistake. He stops the drill to correct the one kid. If we're not moving, we're not learning. Maybe that one kid got the nugget, but he goes to the end of the line, and we just lost 3, 4, 5 reps within an 8-minute block of skill work. Times that by 45 practices within a season. That's a lot of reps that we're missing. So I want a coach there and a conductor. My captains, my leaders, I want you up front. I want you to not be afraid of mistakes. You start the drill. That's how we instill leadership. I call my guys to be up first. Over enough time, they're going to know what the names of the drills are and they're going to have confidence, but I want them to have the confidence, the swagger to know what the drill is and execute, to not be afraid of mistake and just go 100 miles an hour. Eventually, it gets to the point where they become that coach, right? I have the conductor, I coach and am leading the drills. I'm blowing the next group up, next group up, next group up. And then instead of assigning 2 coaches to that drill, my captain's watching. If you're not up, your eyes are up. So he doesn't just finish his drill and go off into la-la land. No, he finishes drill and he watches the next group. We've modeled that behavior by having a conductor and a coach within the drill. Eventually, coach goes away and it's on leader, 1 leader, 2 leader, 3. And then I would love to have the whole team self-correcting. That's some magic. That's some beautiful stuff. So that's how I would phase that in. But I need to define the expectations of both roles, model them, and then start to encourage and push said captain or leaders on the team to start to give that feedback loop for us. So that's more one-on-one coaching, which is a necessary skill for a team captain. It's not just hooting and hollering and getting everybody psyched up on game day. No, it's connecting and delivering skill work. All right, now the next phase of most practices within the field court sports is schemes and installation of offense and defense. Within that, how our leadership, I'm modeling the behavior, just like with the drills at this point. And what I like to bring into this is it's called Bloom's taxonomy. So this is a model of learning. First stage is remember. So having my kids understand, here's the players involved, here's the positions on the field, I need you to remember where to go. From there, it's do I understand? Do I understand why all these players go to these specific positions on this play? And then now it's apply. Can I move my body to the different spaces on the field? Remember, understand, apply. That's Bloom's taxonomy. From there, it's getting into analyze and evaluate. What I love to do within this is hopefully we have consistency within the coaching staff and we're running the same offense or defense. Then I have opportunities for my varsity players to go down to the JV side or to the freshman group, and they start to teach this. So they're challenging these younger guys to remember and understand. And you're going to have a lot of discovery, teaching and observing how these guys communicate and getting them to understand how to get teammates to understand. Some magic happens within that. So again, we model all this behavior, hopefully over those 4 years that senior has with you. They understand their offense or defense and the roles to the point where they're able to go down and start to teach it within the younger ranks. If you have the opportunity to have them go help out with the youth program and teach it, awesome. What Texas does great with football is the middle schools that lead up to the high school, they're running the exact same offense. So when you're encouraged as a middle school football player to go to the varsity game, Friday Night Lights, you're seeing the exact same plays, more or less, that you're running. That's that example. So remember, understand, and apply on the field. What I love to coach, and I see this more often than not, if having high schoolers say, "Hey, does that make sense?" or am I clear? So they're almost bullying these guys into saying yes, that makes sense. Yes, that's clear. But I need to watch the next rep. I need to watch the next play and teach them to watch the next play. It's just not me getting lost within my words and then saying, does that make sense? Because I'm bullying the kids that I'm teaching into pretending to understand. They're not going to remember where to go on the field. They're not understanding the play. So if they don't miss those 2 stages, I can't expect them to apply the play that I just introduced. So observe that. Seniors, captains that are now teaching these younger groups, they're going to get lost. Their mind's going to go all over, and they're just going to stop and say, does that make sense? Watch the next play and show them how it doesn't make sense. And then teach them, okay, where did the guys go wrong on the field? Where did the girls mess up this flow and rotation on the court? Okay, well, that's where we're going to start. So aim to teach them how to see, observe, analyze, evaluate, and then from that evaluation, change how we're teaching so we're more likely to understand, remember, understand, and apply. All right. That's what I love. This then leads to competitions within practice and a lot of fun stuff. We always close with intensity in 10 cities. That's 6-on-6 for lacrosse. Some offense versus defense. We're mixing the teams up and having a fun competition. And that's the leaders helping teach the guys how to match their energy of competition in game day. So that's where I bring in the social awareness. You are charged up as a senior captain. What's Jimmy doing? I see Jimmy down. I need you to get Jimmy up right now because we need him for this drill. So bringing some social awareness and some spot leadership calls within that. And that is everything that a captain would need during game day. Showing up early, playing catch with the rest of his teammates, making sure the whole field is set up for the parents, the referees, the coaches, game day. From there, it's all the magic happens. We have a specific game day warm-up that's consistent throughout the season. I hand that off to the seniors to lead. And as a coach, I'm just watching and I'm applying specific manual resisted prep stuff just to get certain guys going. Or if they have shin, hamstring, hip stuff throughout the year, that's where I'm reserved during game day is getting guys physically prepped. I need the captains to lead the warm-up and really get the team going from there. Then from our warm-up, it flows into some stick work drills, defensive footwork drills, and some physical contact stuff. Again, senior, captain led. That's the beauty. But it was all set up through leadership opportunities in practice, not just saying, hey, it should be done by the captains. The captains should do this. That will then be handed down to them to say, hey, freshmen, go do this. The freshmen should have done that. Why didn't we have water? Why didn't we have this? And they start the blame game because it started with coach. No, not on my team. So every expectation I have during game day, I've prepared and planned and prepped and give them thousands of leadership reps before we show up on game day. Practice. Talking about practice. All right, see you next time. All these drills, let me know how you're running your practices. Hit me on Instagram. Drop a comments on the Spotify. Like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Sign up for a newsletter. I'll be outlining these, putting them into blogs, providing some video examples. So newsletters at captainsandcoaches.com. Thank you again for tuning in to the podcast and helping us raise the game.